Hello everyone and welcome to This Explainer. Today we have an absolutely incredible story and a profoundly beautiful text to unpack. We're looking at the Kanakadhara Stotram. Now, you might know it as one of the most beloved devotional hymns composed by the brilliant Adi Shankaracharya. But the origin of this ancient text, well, it isn't some quiet, dusty moment of academic study. Not at all. It involves a 5-year-old boy, a moment of absolutely shattering heartbreak, and a single pure prayer that literally caused a miraculous shower of golden fruit to fall from the sky. So let's get right into it.
So, can a single act of selfless giving actually change your destiny? I want to drop you directly into the scene that started all of this. Imagine an impoverished woman standing in a completely dilapidated, ruined hut. She has absolutely nothing to her name. Zero. Yet, she makes this ultimate sacrifice that totally defies the strict arithmetic rules of fate. It's a moment of pure, raw human compassion that literally forces the divine to intervene.
Section 1. A shower of gold. Okay, let's dive into this and set the scene of the mythological and emotional origin of this profound hymn. The narrative begins with young Adi Shankaracharya. He's just 5 years old, fresh from his thread ceremony, living as a student and performing the sacred duty of seeking alms. He approaches the ruined hut of a woman. Now, she's of noble character but experiencing profound, desperate destitution. She frantically searches her bare home because she wants to fulfill her duty to feed this student, but all she finds? A single dried Indian gooseberry, an amalaki, a piece of fruit she was likely saving just to break her own fast. Filled with shame and deep humility, she offers him this meager fruit. And you know, the young boy is just so completely moved by her staggering generosity in the face of absolute poverty that he actually bursts into tears right there, and immediately he begins to pray to the goddess for her. To really anchor the emotional weight of her offering, think about this profound quote. Bhagavan does not live in a small heart, and he does not leave a big heart. The woman had no resources, sure, but her heart simply could not bear to send that young, hungry student away. Her stomach was empty, but her heart unimaginably big.
Section 2. Karma versus Divine Grace. Now this sets up a fascinating cosmic courtroom drama between the young Shankara and the goddess Lakshmi. Let's take a look.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the clear contrast between two massive concepts in Eastern philosophy. On the left, we have strict karmic determinism, basically the spreadsheet of the universe. The goddess initially hesitates to grant Shankara's request, explaining that the woman's poverty is the inescapable fruit of her past karma. She hadn't performed acts of charity in previous lives. But on the right, we see Shankara's brilliant rebuttal, divine grace. He argues that this single, devastatingly pure act of selfless devotion, giving away her only possession, completely shatters the strict arithmetic of karma.
And guess what? He wins the debate. Pleased by his plea and the incredible poetry of his invocation, the Devi responds. And she doesn't just respond a little bit, it is a deliberately disproportionate miracle. For a single, dried gooseberry, the goddess manifests an inexhaustible shower of golden gooseberries. It's a gorgeous proof that divine grace flows as a current of compassion. It is absolutely not strictly bound by some invisible spreadsheet of our merit.
Section 3. The Sidelong Glance. So, what were the exact words Shankara used to persuade the Divine Feminine? Let's move into the textual breakdown of the Stotram itself.
So the crucial point here is a concept called kataksha. Throughout the hymn, Shankara doesn't boldly ask for a direct face-to-face encounter with the goddess. Instead, he humbly asks for just a brief flicker of her playful, sidelong glance. The texts explain that as Lakshmi gazes with perpetual love at her consort Narayana, the sheer intensity of her bliss literally spills over from the corners of her eyes. And that overflow of love, that is the grace that sustains all of creation.
Let's look at how he illustrates this. In verse 1, he describes her attention being naturally drawn to her Lord's happiness, like bumblebees drawn to the unopened buds of the black tamala tree. I mean, wow! It's this incredibly joyful, magnetic imagery that sets the perfect tone for the entire invocation.
By verse 6, he really expands on this. He shows us the immense, effortless power contained in just a tiny fraction of her attention. He describes her glance as auspicious, indolent, loaded with blessing, noting that even a momentary look from her was enough to empower the God of love himself. He's telling us that even the tiniest fraction of divine compassion holds staggering, reality-altering power.
But
Shankara doesn't just view Lakshmi as some cosmic ATM granting gold. In verse 10, he recognizes her massive, multifaceted identity. He addresses her as the goddess of speech and wisdom, as the ultimate provider of nourishment, and even identifies her with Parvati. He's making a profound assertion here. True wealth isn't merely currency. It is the vital, cosmic energy that drives creation, sustenance, and dissolution across all forms of the divine.
Section 4. The power of mental worship. This realization leads us perfectly from the external miracle of the gold to the internal realization. Let's look at Manas Puja.
Manas Puja is worship carried entirely within the mind. Now, remember our scene. Shankara didn't compose this hymn in a grand temple surrounded by elaborate offerings. He was a dirt-poor student standing in the dust outside a ruined hut. He composed it purely from his heart in a moment of sheer, overwhelming compassion. And this teaches us that true worship requires absolutely no physical objects. Its only currency is unbroken mental presence, and its only real offering is the self.
And this brilliantly illustrates the tantric concept of divyachar, or the divine disposition. For a practitioner operating at this level, you literally need no external markers. The ritual lives entirely within the mind. That means every single breath, every step you take becomes an act of worship. Ultimately, within this intense internal focus, the distinction between the one worshiping and the divine being worshipped, it just quietly disappears. It's a rigorous, incredibly intimate path.
Section 5. How to practice today. So, how do we take this ancient theology and actually apply it right now? Let's get into some practical takeaways. Think about this for a second. Today, we are so lucky to have amazing tools available to us, like the Tantra Sadhana app, which maps out these practices digitally for us. But the woman in our story, she had no app. She had no auspicious calendar date, no guru instructing her, and no complex ritual. She literally only had a dried gooseberry and absolute, total sincerity. And that raw sincerity is really the only true base requirement.
Let's move to and see how this builds into actual practice today. If you do want to engage with this text optimally, the sources give us some highly auspicious methods to really maximize the benefits of reciting these 21 verses. The ideal time? Brahma Muhurta. That's about an hour and a half before sunrise, or in the evening right after sunset. Fridays are considered the absolute best day, since they're dedicated to Goddess Lakshmi. You'll want to sit facing east or north in a clean, peaceful space, and maybe light a ghee lamp to invite those positive spiritual vibrations. It's all about aligning your practice to amplify that flow of grace.
So as we wrap up, I want to leave you with a provocative question to chew on. What is your single dried gooseberry that you can offer the world today? Because at the end of the day, the Kanakadhara Stotram isn't just the story about getting rich. It's a beautiful testament to the fact that when your heart breaks open with true compassion, the universe responds in kind. You don't always need some massive grand gesture to invite grace into your life. Sometimes just offering all you have, even if it seems impossibly small, is exactly what shatters the limitations of your destiny. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep reflecting, and I'll see you next time.